Oh hey there! So, I'm going to be doing a quick video basically on some of the test data that I've done on a previous video that I've done. If you haven't watched it, well, you definitely need to watch it first. Basically, I asked Chat GPT to do a bunch of modifications to my time trial bike and see if it can make it quicker. And it came up with loads of ideas. I tried to implement as many of them that were feasible as possible. And yeah, the videos will be linked here and go check them out basically if you haven't seen that. Otherwise, this video will make like no sense. Right, so let's get into the methods and how I actually did this testing. And I basically performed it as really like a roll down test. So I went to the bottom of Col de Femenia in Mallorca, where the roads are smooth, the roads are quiet. So there were no cars to basically interrupt the airflow, manipulate the data. Also, what I did is I started from a static position, just set myself rolling off, didn't push off, no pedaling or anything like that. Got myself into position, had a specific start point, specific end point, and hit the lap button on my Garmin. Through that section there, I took the top speed, the average speed through the section, and the time. I binned off time, which I'll explain a little bit later in the video. And then finally, to test the different parts, I started off with the front mount and no other additions. Then I took that off and went for the standard setup that I've always been riding. And then finally, I put the rear bottle back on and went from there. Guys, I only tested these two things because I had to do 9 runs on these tests, 3 on each, and I cycled between them, alternating between which one was tested. If I did any more of the upgrades, which are so small and very unlikely to show up in this kind of real world data, I would have been there all day and probably wouldn't have got much from it. Right, so let's get into the results. So starting off with the results here, I did 3 runs of everything. I took those 3 runs, averaged them out, and then I extrapolated that time to a 70.3 or a middle distance triathlon course to see how much time it would save there. Now, before you get annoyed at me and say, Jace, you're not going to be averaging 59 kilometers an hour around the Ironman course. I know, I averaged 31. But think of it this way. The difference in savings here are calculated at these higher speeds because it's easier to get measurable differences there. When you're on the actual course doing slower speeds, you're on the course for a lot longer period of time, meaning that there's more time for the aerodynamic changes that I've made to accumulate over the course, meaning they should be roughly the same. I know, it's not perfect, but you know, I'm not a mathematician, so this is the best I've got, all right? Right, so top speed. So at the normal setup, I averaged 58.9 kilometers an hour. The front mount modification, so 0.4 of a kilometer an hour quicker. And then finally that rear bottle storage averaged 59.1, so 0.2 kilometers an hour quicker. And if you kind of extrapolate this kind of speed over a full middle distance course, well, the front mount saves about 37 seconds and the rear bottle mount saved about 19 seconds. Like I said, this is going to be an estimation. Here's where it gets interesting. When we look at the average speeds for using these two products, you can see that the average speed gets a little bit lower. I had to cancel test 1 for the front mount just because it was so much slower. It was just outside the normal average speeds. But yeah, when you again extrapolate that average speed data, it seems like the front mount is about 32 seconds slower and the rear mount is about 34 seconds slower. So the question is, why is the top speed higher for the modifications but the average speed is lower for the modifications? And the answer is I don't know. I couldn't tell you. Finally, as you'll be able to see on the tables there, I did put in time as well, but everything's within 0.2 of a second of each other, and just 0.2 of a second at the start and the finish, trying to press a button, that's pretty damn close. So it means I must have got the same points at each time, or very close to. But realistically, there's too much error there to try and extrapolate that data. So what does all this mean? It means I don't know, okay? I don't know if they're faster or not. I don't know why the modifications have a higher top speed but slower average speed. I think that's very strange. Maybe they have more effect as the speed is higher but less effect as the speed is lower aerodynamically. Again, hard to say. One thing I did say is actually I did end up running them. I thought it was an advantage just to have a little bit of extra water with me just in case I got too hot and needed it and things like that. And if I can't really tell from the data that it's not clear if it's faster or slower, maybe it's just the same speed. But anyway, finally guys, if you guys know how to interpret those kind of things or understand why it works better at high speeds and not at low speeds, although 49 k's an hour is not a low speed for the average. But I'll be interested to hear from you if you have any thoughts and comments on that. Like I said, I'm not a mathematician or an engineer or anything like that. So yeah, some help from you guys would be much appreciated. As always, if you've got any questions and stuff, stick them in the comments below, or you can find my daily shenanigans over here on Instagram. Other than that, I've been Jason, this has been Cycling Unboxed. I'll see you in another video.